So what does PB say about this telepathic contact in the notebooks? He says, the aspirant who comes into the presence of someone who functions on a high moral or mystical or philosophical level and feels the attraction, calm, spell, influence, or force of his personality can, after a sufficient time or association, be stimulated in development quite markedly. It is the case not only of benefiting by the other person's words and copying their example, but also of directly experiencing the telepathic working of mind upon mind. And then he says, the master's work is carried out by word of mouth, by written statement, and by personal example. But it cannot end with these methods, for they are all external ones. So it is continued by telepathic impulses, by inspirational impact, and by mental osmosis. They are internal ones. So those of us who have had a physical teacher, we kind of become dependent on the presence of the teacher. We want to be around them. We want their attention. We want them to look at us. We want to look at them. We want to hear what they have to say. And it's an external relationship. But what PB is saying, the real relationship is an inner relationship. And when you have sufficient contact with the person, you transform that outer relationship into an inner relationship. And then you don't need the physical presence of the teacher. Even after the teacher leaves the body, all these great teachers say, I'm still here, you can still contact me. And we felt this in other places as well during our trip here. We felt this with Anandamayi Ma in her ashram. We just visited the ashram of Papa Ramdas, who was a very dear friend of PB, and we could feel it there. So this is let's say, a spiritual phenomenon that is well known that can be experienced.
Shivananda
In the ashram where we gave a talk that is on the YouTube. So now PB visits the meditation hall again, where Ramana is usually lying on a couch. And he has a vision. So he's sitting in front of Ramana and he has a vision of Ramana telling him something that's not a physical activity. In this vision, he says, the sage's voice comes to my ears, his words slowly uttered. When you go back there, meaning to England, you shall have this peace which you felt now. But its price will be that henceforth you shall cast aside the idea that you are the body or the brain. When this peace will flow into you, then you shall have to forget your own self, for you will have turned your life over to that. So then PB says, since that dream or vision, I feel a great awe whenever I enter his presence. The questions which would otherwise have come chatteringly from my lips are hushed, because it seems almost a sacrilege to regard him as a person with whom I can talk and argue on an equal plane, so far as common humanity is concerned. So PB, let's say he's enthralled with Ramana. Finally, he's successful. And he says, I'm going to stay here longer. So he extends his visit. He changes his plans. He says, my proposed weekend quickly passes and I extend it to a week. The week passes and I extend it to 2 weeks, a fortnight. Each day I sense the beautiful peace of the sage's mental atmosphere, the serenity which pervades the very air around him.
He stay longer possible, correct?
As long as he wants, as he can, he's stretching it out. It's like when you're in love, right? You don't want to leave the person you're in love with, but this is a different kind of love. This is like let's call it a divine love. It's more than any love we can imagine. Finally, PB can delay his return no longer, and he pays one more visit to Ravana, who is seated at the front of the meditation hall. You can still meditate now in the same meditation hall where the same couch is there, but it has a picture of Ramana, and it's always packed with people. You almost can't find a place to sit down on the floor and meditate. There comes a perceptible change in the telepathic current which plays between us. Though all the while my eyes blink frequently but remain without the least tremor, I become aware that he is definitely linking my own mind with his, that he is provoking my heart into the state of starry calm, which he seems perpetually to enjoy. In this extraordinary peace, I find a sense of exaltation and lightness. Time seems to stand still. My heart is released from its burden of care. In this beautiful entranced silence, when the clock stands still and the sorrows and errors of the past seem like trivialities, my mind is being submerged in that of the Maharishi, and wisdom is now at its perihelion. So PB experiences a complete transformation of everything, and all the things that seem important in life fade down. And what really becomes important is this inner tranquility, this inner peace, this inner love, this inner knowledge. So sooner or later, he has to go home, and now he goes home.
Now it's time for him to go to England,
Right.
correct?
So he goes back to England
In 1931.
after only 2 months in India the first time. So now we'll talk about his return home.